So today, Britney Spears finally released her long-anticipated memoir, Woman and Me, and so far, people are ranting and raving about her book. Right now, she has 84% 5-star reviews on Amazon, and all the reviews are super positive, and I spent the day reading the book, and I want to talk about the most shocking revelations that came out in this book. So first, remember back in Britney's late teens, how they really hyped up the fact that Britney was this innocent virgin, even in her early 20s. Well, Britney spilled the tea in her book that she actually was not no virgin like they portrayed. She wrote in her book that this so-called good girl image was pushed by her managers and the press because she had so many teenage fans. And she said that she had been hooking up since she was 14 years old. And the first time when she was 14 was with one of her brother's friends. And when she was with Justin, she had been living with Justin their whole relationship. So they're hooking up from the jump. So Britney started dating Justin in 1999 when she was 17 years old and he was 18. And she said that she loved Justin so much, she always expected that they would have a family one day. Britney ended up getting pregnant with Justin's baby, but it happened way sooner than they wanted it to happen, and Justin did not want her to follow through with having the baby, so he pushed her to have an abortion. And she said if it was up to her alone that she would have had the baby, but she ended up following through, getting the abortion, and she said that it was super important that no one found out about the abortion, so she stayed at home for months so no one would find out. And she said that they didn't even tell her family, and the only person who knew about the abortion was her, Justin, and her assistant at the time, who was always on hand to help Britney when she needed it. So she showed up to her appointment to get the abortion. She ended up taking 2 pills, and she said she started having excruciating cramps, and they were super bad. So she was literally just laying in the bathroom on the ground right next to the toilet for hours, just sobbing and screaming. And she said that Justin had the bright idea to grab a guitar and go in there and sit on the bathroom floor with her for hours and sing to her, hoping that would make her feel better. So despite them having a lot of chemistry and seeming like they had an amazing relationship going on, Justin could not be faithful to Britney. Britney said she turned a blind eye multiple times when he cheated, and he cheated more than a couple times. And she said she did end up kissing Wade Robson once at a party, but she said it was nothing beyond that. But he was sitting there going out, like one time he was out in London and photographers caught him with one of the girls from the All Saints in a car. And another time Justin was in Vegas and he ended up cheating with a famous woman, but Britney would not name who exactly that famous woman was because she said that she's currently married with kids and she doesn't want to cause any drama or make her feel bad. So Britney and Justin ended up breaking up in 2002 after he sent her a text message saying it's over. And shortly after they broke up, Britney admitted that she got into a 2-week brawl with actor Colin Farrell. She said, "Brawl is the only word for it. We were all over each other, grappling so passionately. It was like we were in a street fight." And she said in spite of how passionate it was, they decided to end their short and fleeing after 2 weeks because she felt like she wasn't fully over Justin at the time. Britney revealed that Justin became very standoffish while he was working on his debut solo album, and she felt like Justin chose his career in his album over her because he used the relationship problems to make hit songs about and fuel and get attention on his new album that he's making by himself. So a lot of people were wondering if Britney was going to bring up Christina Aguilera in her memoir, and she called out Justin Timberlake and Christina Aguilera for their famous 2003 Rolling Stone cover where she described Justin as looking at Christina with sexy eyes, and she said even if they weren't trying to be cruel, it felt like they were just pouring salt in the wound. Why was it so easy for everyone to forget that I was a human being and I was vulnerable and that could leave a bruise? And Britney also opened up about being scrutinized by the media throughout the years. And she said that she hated it because she felt like in all her interviews, she was getting all these strange comments constantly asking about if she had breast implants, plastic surgery. And Britney felt like these type of questions were too invasive. And she also said that she started to notice at her shows that she'd look at the audience and she'd see more and more older men by themselves and they're just leering at her from the audience. And she also called out Diane Sawyer for her famous 2003 interview where she literally hounded her with question after question when she was super fragile after her relationship had ended with Justin Timberlake. And she said, I shouldn't have been forced to speak on national TV, forced to cry in front of this stranger, a woman who is relentlessly going after me. And she also called out Ryan Seacrest, where she said that in 2007 she was asked to go on his live radio show, and he told her that it was just going to be strictly to promote her new studio album. And then she showed up and he was just hounding her with questions about her kids. Britney also admitted in her memoir that she went through really bad postpartum depression where she didn't even want to live. But at that time, she wasn't aware of what postpartum was, so she had no idea that's what she was experiencing until years later. And she admitted that she was so depressed and she was so overprotective of her sons that she wouldn't even let her own mom hold her son for the first 2 months he was alive. She also called out the relentless paparazzi that harassed her for years, and she said it made it really difficult, especially while she's navigating her divorce from Kevin Federline. And she even talked about the big moment where she ended up shaving her head in 2007, and she said she decided to do that as a big FU to the world after years of being portrayed as a good girl. Britney also spoke on the incident where she took the umbrella and was hitting the paparazzi's car with it, and she said she snapped because the paparazzi was literally messing with her and taking pictures of her during one of the worst moments of her life. And she spoke on her marriage with Kevin Federline. So they started dating in 2007 and they were married for 3 years in total. So she ended up meeting Kevin and they ended up having 2 children together before calling it quits. But she said that Kevin turned on her while she was pregnant with her second child. She said that he would go to the studio and he had this big dream that he's gonna be a rapper, and she kind of even made fun of it a little bit in the book. She's like, yeah, he really thought he was gonna be a rapper. So Kevin just pretty much bailed on her, and he was at the studio all the time focusing on his rap career. So Britney decided that she was going to go up to the studio and try to talk to Kevin. And she said when she showed up, there's a bunch of security guards there. But she recognized all the security guards because all the security guards that were working for Kevin were all of her and Kevin's old security guards. And she said that she was just trying to speak to Kevin, but none of the security guards would let her in, and she said she felt like she was shunned and shut out from everyone. And on her way out, she peeked in a window and she saw Kevin with a bunch of other people, and they had turned the studio into like a little nightclub, and they're all just kicking back and smoking weed and partying. That's another frustration that Britney had because she felt like she could not do anything. She said she did not smoke weed, even though some of the media tried to portray she did. She said she does not like it at all, and even being around it, just getting a contact high makes her feel like she's super slow. And she said when she was going through her divorce with Kevin Federline, she really needed to get out because she was always constantly at home with the kids and going through it. So she ended up convincing her mom to watch her 2 sons for a night, and she decided to go out with Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan. Britney swears up and down that all they did was drink, and they got pretty wasted. But this was the first time that Britney had drank in a hot minute. And the next day she was headlined and all over the news, and people were trying to make her look like a bad mom for choosing to go out that night. And she said that she ended up coming home after she went out that night to come back to her mom's house, and her mom just started screaming at her and going off on her, saying that she was drunk. And Britney said that she felt so much shame and guilt and like a bad mom, even though she had asked her mom to watch her 2 boys for her. So she made sure she drank responsibly and her kids weren't going to see her drunk. And this was the first time she had gone out in a long time. And this was after her divorce from Kevin. And she was really going through it. And Britney said that she was super frustrated because she didn't understand how her ex-husband Kevin or her ex Justin, they could smoke weed, they can party, they can drink, get plastered every single night. It's no big deal. But when Britney wants to have one fun night, she's a terrible example for her kids and all sorts of other BS narratives that the media likes to run with. So not long after Britney and Kevin ended up splitting up, she moved on with, I don't even know how to say his name, Adnan Galib or something like that. But she ended up getting with a man and she did not know that he was married, and he caused a lot of drama in her life. And according to Britney, she said that he gave her a lustful relationship, which is exactly what Britney felt like she needed at the time, because she just felt like she got out of a loveless marriage and she was going through really bad depression at the time. And right after her and that guy ended up breaking up in 2008, she ended up getting put in a conservatorship by her father. So now we're going to get into the conservatorship, then we're going to talk about Jamie Lynn, and then we're going to talk about her last husband, Sam. So she talked about how strict her conservatorship was. She said she was forced to diet, and she wasn't even allowed to have French fries. She said that she was begging for 2 years straight just to be able to eat French fries, and she was turned down every single time. So here's her family staying in a nice condo that she's paying for and eating on her money on some of the nicest meals and eating everything they want, while Britney's just sitting there starving and being restricted on what she could eat. She said with her own words that she was starving. So while in her conservatorship, she was given $2,000 a week. But Britney doesn't understand why she had to be controlled so bad while she was still able to perform sold out shows. She was winning all these awards back to back, yet she still couldn't make basic life decisions for herself. And Jamie was appointed as the conservator of Britney's finances and personal life in 2008, and she revealed that Jamie had control over her work schedule, her finances, dating life, social life, money, medication, and diet. Another big frustration that Britney had was how she was constantly being looked up and down by every single person since she was a teenager, especially her father. Her father would tell her that she was getting fat and she didn't look good, so Britney said she would feel pressured that she had to work out, even though she said that she did not enjoy it at all. And she said that no matter how much she worked out during her conservatorship, she still continued to gain weight. But she said, here's the sad, honest truth. After everything I'd been through, I didn't have a lot of fight left in me. I was tired and I was scared. After being held down on a gurney, I knew they could restrain my body anytime they wanted to. And she was talking about when she was placed on a psychiatric hold in 2008. Britney said she was pressured to check into a mental health treatment center 1 decade later without her consent, and she ended up calling the police in June of 2021 to report Jamie for conservatorship abuse, but that was terminated later that year. And she said that her father controlled her finances from 2008 to 2021, and she said she just went along with the conservatorship because her father would threaten that she would lose custody of her kids if she didn't do this. So she was constantly subjected to parental controls on all her devices. She had no access to her car, or she was not even able to bathe in private. She had someone constantly watching over her everywhere she went. And she said, in my old life, I had freedom, the freedom to make my own decisions, to set my own agenda, to wake up and decide how I wanted to spend the day. Even the hard days were my hard days. Once I gave up the fight in my new life, I would just wake up each morning and say, what are we doing? Which that really puts things in perspective, because most people wake up, they got their to-do list, they have their plans. But Britney doesn't have any control of that. Well, now she does, but she used to not be able to. And she said when she finally found out from the judge that she was free, it was such a weight on her shoulders. Sorry, I didn't realize this video was going to be so long, so I'm trying to rush through the last of what we have. She also spoke on her tumultuous relationship with her sister, Jamie Lynn. So she said she felt like her sister was a total bitch to her mother, especially when she was 11, and she felt like Jamie Lynn didn't understand the struggle because Jamie Lynn, by the time she was growing up, she had money from Britney, so she didn't understand how they had to get it from the mud, and Britney and her mom and dad grew up piss poor. Britney also questioned Jamie Lynn's behavior and recalled in her book that she felt like Jamie Lynn wasn't supporting her during her conservatorship, especially in 2018 when Britney's father was pushing her to go to rehab, and Britney talked to her sister about it, and her sister told her to just do it, and Britney felt like she wasn't being very supportive or had her back. So Britney said she never had any issues with any hard drugs, but she did take a lot of Adderall medication, and she was placed in rehab in 2018 where she was placed on lithium, and then like in the late 2000s she was put on Prozac as a way to help her deal with negative feedback from the public. So she also spoke on her marriage with Sam, but we do need to note that whenever she did finish this book, Sam ended up filing for divorce after that. So whenever the book was finished, they were still on good terms. So I wonder if she would share a different account now that her and Sam are separated. But Britney praised Sam for being an inspiration in her life and for wishing her happiness. And she said she felt so giddy when she found out she was pregnant with Sam's baby in 2022. And she was super excited because she had been wanting to start a family with Sam for a while. And she ended up going on her social media accounts and announcing that she was pregnant. But 1 month after she announced it, she found out she had suffered a miscarriage. Britney said, "I'd been so thrilled to be pregnant that I told the whole world, which meant I had to untell them. I was so devastated to have lost this baby. Listening to music on my phone helps me cope with the anger and sadness I faced as an adult." And she said that she's still dealing with the aftermath of her conservatorship. She said, "Migraines are just one part of the physical and emotional damage I have now that I'm out of the conservatorship." And she said, "I don't think my family understands the real damage that they did." And she said she decided to go visit her parents during coronavirus. And when she went out there, she realized that all her belongings had been thrown away by her family. So that was a huge wake-up call for Britney. And she said, "I'm done dealing with people who helped contribute to some of the worst moments in my life." So I apologize for this video being so long, but I wanted to make sure I covered all the shocking revelations. And she also called out the people who criticize her social media posts, and she says she gets a lot of joy from posting pictures of herself naked or in dresses because they make her feel sexy, and she loves being able to take her own pictures and doing whatever she wants with it after thousands of people have taken her pictures over the year and posed for people's approval, and now she just loves having her own pictures that she can create and do for herself. But I thought the book was fantastic. I ordered the book earlier today. It took me about 3 or 4 hours to read in one setting, but that's just because I wanted the tea and I wanted to make a video on it, and I was really excited about it. I've been waiting for this book for a long time. But the book's available on Amazon. It's about $16.99 for the Kindle version, $20.99 for the hardcover version, or you can get the audiobook for $5.99. So Britney Spears ended up narrating part of the audiobook, but some of the more sensitive subjects and the rest of the book Michelle Williams did. Now let me give you guys my honest review of the book. I love me some Britney Spears, but I would probably have to give the book, my honest opinion, probably a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. It was a quick read for me. Like, I literally read it all in one setting. It was easy to read. It sounded like Britney's words herself. Because, you know, sometimes you read something and you're like, okay, it does not sound like that person wrote that. It sounds like a ghostwriter. Like, I'm sure she had someone else write it for her to correct the grammar. But a lot of it sounded like how Britney would say. And she was using a lot of jokes that sound like her sense of humor. But at the same time, some parts I feel like were just not detailed enough. enough. I wanted to hear a lot more about the conservatorship, about her family, about her childhood, but it was very vague when it came to certain subjects. I felt like she was still kind of walking on eggshells, and I want her to really open up and spill all the tea. But of course, I'm sure she's also trying to be careful and not get no lawsuits, and I'm sure she had the legal people look over the book before it just to be safe. The book was about 300 and something pages in total. And granted, there's only so much of a story you can tell with 300 pages. But for Britney Spears, man, I feel like she should have had like a 3-part series, because I'm sure she has a lot to tell. But I feel like Britney wasn't opening up as much because she's still trying to protect certain people in her life. And I just wanted more vulnerability from Britney. But overall, I still really enjoyed the book, and I do highly recommend it. But that's it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below. Check out my lashes and cosmetics at AccordingtoAmber.com. You can use code BOGO, all capital letters, and you can buy one lash, get one free. And that's while supplies last. And I also have some big Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales coming up, so stay tuned for that. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.